Hello guys, this is going to be a commentary featuring free-for-all gameplay on the streets. Now, if you guys have not maybe subscribed to Toonboy's YouTube channel, please go ahead and do so if you'd like, and his description is located in the description feed below of this video. So this commentary is going to focus more on what I think about Judgment now after some of the little tweaks that Epic has done via the server-side updates or via the title update 1. And basically the first thing we're going to start off with is the recent rifle damage increase or buff. I believe the Lancer or nearly all the rifles have received the increase in damage, specifically around the 15% increase. And what I find unique here is within the forums. You can find in the Gears of War Judgment multiplayer section of the forums that Epic is trying to, on a one-on-one basis, communicate with their fan base and sort of get a more general idea of how the fans want this installment to the franchise to play out, specifically in the rifle combat scenarios. So they're specifically asking the users whether they want the rifles to remain as is with the recent increase in performance, which is about 15%. Once again, I'm not entirely sure if all of the rifles have received this increase in performance, but I do know that the Lancer is one of them. Or another option that Epic is giving the users is to revert all of the rifles back to the basically the day one release date damage. And the next option that Epic is given is work out a middle ground, sort of like, you know, like a sort of, you know, pretty much for the Gnasher players and the Lancer players to sort of meet in the middle and kind of form you know, an acceptable damage increase or whatever they might, you know, find acceptable. But personally, I would pretty much rather than all the rifles to be reverted back to the day one release, because I didn't really see them being weak at all. It just basically, with the removal of the stopping power, it made it where the rifles were more difficult to use, because when you're shooting at your enemy, they are no longer held in place or slowed down drastically, hindering their movement and making them a lot easier to hit. So you are actually forced to have better accuracy and to, you know, to predetermine and analyze your enemy's movements to know exactly where they're going to go and aim before them. When I used the Lancer, just for the fun of it, it seemed as if it was a weapon that was meant for medium to long range scenarios. It was not going to replace the Gnasher in close range and, you know, completely become a complete versatile weapon like in Gears of War 3, where the Retro and the Lancer can literally put a Gnasher player on his knees when they're simply trying to use the weapon in his intended range. In Judgment, still the way it is now with the recent buffs, I don't see the rifles being as overpowered as they were in Gears of War 3, but they are becoming somewhat of an hindrance when someone, you know, who actually knows how to somewhat use and maneuver in a close range scenario with the Lancer. They can drop you pretty quickly, but, you know, the Gnasher is consistent. It can one-shot and all that, and the two-piece is pretty much gone. So if the rifle users try to smack you with the butt of their gun and then shoot you after that, you can be able to get a one-shot off with the Gnasher and kill them. So with this thing I was talking about, where Epic is trying to communicate with the end user, it seems as if Epic wants this game to be you know, enrolled in a competitive scenario where MOG will pick it up. But personally, I don't think this game will ever get picked up by MOG again. And the reason I'm saying this is because MOG is a company, and a company wants to make a profit. They want income. They're not going to simply be there for the enjoyment of the users. They actually, well, there are companies that want both, but the majority of the companies out there, they just want a raw profit. So when you think about it, Gears of War Judgment's population numbers in comparison to the games such as like Halo, StarCraft, and Call of Duty, they are completely, you know, in a different league. Gears of War's population numbers are very dull and low, and primarily it's because the game is a very difficult game to play. It's just to put it like that. In terms of comparing it to Halo and Call of Duty, Gears of War is by far the most difficult shooter to play. There really is no debate or argument behind this. It's like, it's just set in stone. Gears of War is the most difficult shooter to play out of Halo and Call of Duty, or all three of them combined. So Call of Duty is pretty much MOG's main competitive shooter, and it's primarily because of the sheer amount of players that are on that game. I think it's like a recent event or tournament coming up where I think the prize pool is about $1 million, so you can clearly see that the prize pool can be so excessively large because of the high amount of players. And the reason being so is because obviously Call of Duty is the easiest shooter to get into, and it's straight to the point and it just works. You just point and shoot. It's a very intense shooter, reflex based, but Gears of War is a lot more, you know, is a lot more patient and tactical and more in your face and more memorable type experience in battles, where, you know, like Halo and Call of Duty is that you kill an enemy and you just move on to the next. So it's like, I don't really think Gears of War is going to be enrolled in the competitive as well, like I just said, because of the sheer amount of population that this game has. So basically, due to the updates, my main issues with this game has been alleviated, and that was the two-piece where someone would melee you and then shoot you as you were stunned. That is pretty much gone, because when you get meleeed, you can react pretty much instantaneously after you've been meleeed, so it's like the two-piece is somewhat useless. But there is a reverse two-piece where someone can shoot you and then melee you instantaneously right after that, but I don't really find that annoying because they actually have to aim and hit you with the gun prior to the melee. Another thing is the double melee, but once again, if you get meleeed, you can react now, so it's like you can be able to one-shot them before they melee you again. So now some of the smaller issues that I have with the multiplayer that's still in effect is the stim gas. And I personally believe that this should just get removed from the multiplayer and only kept in, you know, playlists like Overrun, Campaign, and Survival. Or if it's kept in the multiplayer, it should be where every frame your health is, you know, replenished by 25%, as opposed to the way it is now and your health is replenished instantaneously. So in the next commentary, I'm going to sort of talk more about how I feel about execution and judgment, and the maps being asymmetrical, and how I feel it doesn't play out that well. So if you find this video enjoyable, guys, give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Later.